Hi everyone, I'm Sophie Milburn, editor of the MSP Channel Insights portfolio, and I'm joined today by Phil from eSentire. Phil, could you start by introducing yourself, your role at eSentire, and telling us a little bit about the kind of company's mission and how it's evolved since its founding?
Yeah, sure. My name is Phil Skelton. I've been over at eSentire now for just over 3 years. I'm a senior director here. I look after really our sales and pre-sales teams across EMEA and the APAC region. I've been in cybersecurity now for about 15 years, so quite a long tenure. I remember when it was just things like doing penetration testing and DFIR, things like that.
Mhm.
If you can look at us from an eSentire point of view, originally our original mission was around protecting tomorrow's businesses today as we started out in the industry. If you kind of look at us from the inception point of view, we originally existed to offer a managed service out to financial institutions. And that was a little black box that sat on people's network, and it'll be looking at traffic that was coming in and out of those organizations, looking for basically bad actors, and was data going out to known bad websites. As we kind of evolve now and our mission statement's really changed, and as you kind of see where we come from today is we now talk more around AI-powered managed detection response. We're looking at how we protect organizations from those threats that are going to disrupt them as a business from the 24/7 kind of stature, really. So monitoring 24/7 service. Really, what our mission is today is kind of stopping threats before they have a business impact. We're combining that with kind of our AI features and also with human elements within there as well. And really, the whole thing we're looking at doing is really help and contain those outcomes, not just look at alerts and just send them over to customers, actually working with them as well, those alerts, and investigating and taking actions on those alerts.
Perfect. That's a great overview. Thank you. What do you believe kind of sets your MDR approach apart from others in the market, and why does multi-signal threat detection matter so much today?
Yeah, sure. So I think multi-signal is something that's really, really important in this day and age. I mean, you've got to look to be monitoring kind of all aspects of your IT environment and your infrastructure and your applications as well, especially when we look at some of the latest threats that are coming out right now. They're starting to target some of the key areas where organizations potentially might not have invested in monitoring or, trying to protect those areas. So looking at the whole potential attack surface is really important, all that attack chain, and how you can ensure that you're truly protected. So what that means is from a multi-signal point of view, from the eSentire is we're looking at ingesting what we call signals. So they're things like endpoint, it's network, it's looking at log and SIEM platforms, it's looking at identity, which is key in this day and age. We've seen a lot more attacks coming through identity. And also where we've seen, obviously, over the last number of years, where people are making that transition into the cloud, really looking into that cloud and SaaS environments. But also on top of that is looking at things like vulnerability and are you doing vulnerability scans? Again, it's not just looking at those signals independently, it's actually correlating all of that across, because as we say is modern day attacks, they don't just stay in one lane. They'll start off by potentially a phishing attack. That phishing attack will steal some information, some identity information. It'll then use identity to then log in to then be able to take escalation and privileges to carry on moving and moving and moving. So that's why it's really important that we believe as part of that, multi-signal approach. I think when you come back to the other part of your question around kind of our approach is this is where we look at things. Our approach is slightly different. We're really looking at outcome-driven MDR. We're not just looking at what technology is best. So plug this technology, plug this tool in. We sit with our customers, we look at our prospects, and we talk to those organizations around, what are they actually trying to achieve themselves? What are they trying to achieve, not just from a cybersecurity point of view, but also for the business? Are they going into new territories? Are they going into a new market? And we understand and we work with them and get them to understand what their threat landscape is. So what outcomes do we need to drive through them? And then what that allows us to do is work with them to pick the right technology platforms, the right vendor platforms, and then wrapping a really good managed service over the top of it that gives them that full MDR. And again, it's not just, as I said earlier on in my first answer, it's not just looking at the alerts that come in. It's what you actually do at those alerts. It's investigating them. It's validating them. It's actually taking actions where you need to take actions, and then it's working with the customer on our approach to actually make those remediation, those recommendations, so they get that continuous maturity.
Fantastic. And like you mentioned, it is becoming so complex. There's so much kind of feeding into each other, and it's almost impossible to kind of know where to start. So, what do you think are kind of the biggest challenges that organizations are facing when it comes to this threat detection and response? And how does eSentire kind of help overcome those?
Yeah, and I think you're right. Is there's so much going on in the cybersecurity industry. You know, the threats that were there and were quite prevalent probably 6 months ago, even a month ago, will have changed this. You know, we've seen through our own research. If you look at some of the threat reports we released over 12 months ago, you know, we're starting to look at the fact that organizations were protecting themselves because they're looking at phishing exercises as a core, you know, thing, a core layer of defense, because a lot of the threat actors were using phishing, targeted phishing emails to try and gain compromise into those organizations. We then seen that there's a big shift because organizations were training, you know, themselves and their users on phishing exercises. We saw a big change to browser-based attacks. And now we're seeing a big shift over to more like identity, and using identity and valid credentials and stealing those credentials in order to be able to launch successful attacks. The other things we see, as always, and this has been a common thing right now, is what we call something called alert fatigue. So where, you know, organizations are getting alert after alert after alert, and they don't know where to look. They don't know where to start, as you were saying there, from those different types of attacks. They don't know what alerts are real, which ones are kind of false positives. We also see a lot of organizations are, you know, they're listening out there, they're seeing what's happening, they're reading the latest articles, and they're buying a lot of tools. And the question is are those tools actually working for them? So we're seeing these ongoing issues from alerting to tool sprawl. And again, we're still faced with this, and this has been around for many, many years now. We are still faced with skill shortages in our industry. You know, even us as an organization, you know, we're out there in the market, we're looking for staff, you know, as we expand our organization. So we can only feel how hard it is for organizations that don't specialize in cybersecurity to get those level of staff in as well. So there's some of the things that we're starting to see, the challenges that hit in organizations, from that alert fatigue to that tool sprawl to those skill shortages as well. And that's where really we exist, is really to help those organizations, you know, by putting that managed detection and response service over the top of it. We can take a lot of that away from the customer, and they can effectively outsource that risk and that service to us, meaning that they don't have to focus on that. They can get back to running their own organization.
Yeah, I don't think I realized before kind of having so many of these conversations how prevalent that was with kind of workforce and the more kind of human angle to it. So it's nice to know that people are considering it. Obviously, it's not nice that people are struggling with it, but
Yeah.
it's good that it's on people's radar. eSentire has developed its Atlas platform with embedded AI and analytics. How is this kind of enhancing how you detect and investigate threats?
Yeah, sure. So I think the advent of AI is a good thing in terms of, for us. It can also be seen as a bad thing because obviously we're seeing threat actors use AI a lot more.
Yeah.
If you look at some of the core areas where we're utilizing AI right now, we're bringing it in so it can do a lot of analytical work for us up front. So there's a lot of behavior analytics of work to do. It can look at anomalies and really help us with anomaly detection, getting there quicker, getting there faster. It can also, because we see a lot of data, we see a lot of telemetry. We spoke before about that multi-signal approach. So where it can help us is it can really look into that data quickly, efficiently, and find us patterns and correlations really quickly as well. And I think that's really key for us as well. And you know, as a business being established now for 25 years, when we've built our AI analytics into our platforms, we've been able to point, before we've obviously hit the go live stage and put it into production, we've been able to utilize over 25 years worth of data to help train those models and give it information. So that's really helped us mature our approach to kind of get rid of things like AI hallucinations that you hear and things like that as well. But where this is really helping us, and the AI in our platform, and our Atlas platform, is it really helps accelerate those investigations as well. So reduce false positives. It allows us to, you know, really look into really detailed attack chains and really help us analyze that quickly. It also allows us to prioritize high risks and get that in. One thing I would say that's quite critical though is AI is not replacing analysts. You know, that's our view. That's where we see it coming from. You know, it really helps. AI helps us augment our existing teams that we have in place. So allowing our SOC analysts to kind of leverage that AI tooling allows them to do that investigation faster. Prime examples is we have a number of playbooks written into our platform. So where AI really helps is the AI will be able to detect that it's a certain type of attack. And before that information gets to our analyst, or that threat gets to our analyst, the AI will have gone away. It will have surfaced a load of information. It will have done elements of investigation. So the SOC analyst is getting information quicker, allowing them to make a better informed, quicker decision. So it brings in through those efficiencies as well. So the result for us is it's getting us faster mean time to contain, and it's giving us greater confidence when we want to make those decisions, because that evidence is presented in a quicker, more efficient manner.
Yeah, kind of enhancing the human side of it rather than replacing it.
100%. The human always has to be, as we say, in the loop on it, and so it says it's definitely there as opposed to replacing the human.
Fantastic. You've introduced partner-focused initiatives and models that help organizations kind of operate dedicated instances on your platform. How does eSentire kind of work with partners to expand capabilities and extend their expertise?
Yeah, and we're seeing again an advent. If you kind of look again at the evolution of partners, when we launched our channel partner model several years ago now, we were releasing it because we were seeing organizations. It'll be like a telecoms organization that was offering VoIP services that was realizing they wanted to move into new markets because they were looking for additional services that would allow them to continue to stick in their market and add more benefit out to their customers as well. That's really started to shift now, where we're seeing our partners who want to be more involved in the delivery of security services. So a lot of our partners are IT services businesses that want to add cybersecurity in. So they want to give a holistic approach into our partners. So that's what we're kind of seeing right now is our kind of our partner focused approach has evolved through there, where we can do things like our partners can take, we call it the Nexus platform, where they can actually take our platform and have that themselves. And if they've got their own SOC services that sit on the back end of it, that allows them to, utilize their own team, but actually utilize our platform, because that can take a significant investment if a business or a partner wants to start that up off their own. It also allows them to take, our AI that's built into those we've just discussed. It allows them to bring our threat intelligence into there as well. But again, a lot of partners don't have the resources or kind of the time, or sometimes the budget to go and set up their own SOC and put their own people in. So that's where, again, our partner model allows them to co-sell with us. So that's an event where we'll work alongside our partners and their customers. They'll be doing their element of it, which is the IT security element or some telecom services or other IT related services, and we will supply the cybersecurity services. So we'll provide the platform, we'll onboard the customer onto our platform. We'll provide, the threat intelligence. We'll provide the SOC analysts. We'll provide all the business outcomes and things like that as well. So we do have a good different approaches, as you say. And I think for our partners, it's great because, from a partner point of view, it allows them basically to grow their business. It allows them to put more recurring revenue into the business, which is kind of king from an annuity point of view. It allows them to win more, so keep those customers sticky to them, because those customers will go, hey, great, you provide that service, you now provide this service as well off the back of it. Again, it allows us to go out to business together and win more business together. And again, those partners, they don't need to invest massively into bringing on a new delivery team because they're going to sell a new revenue stream or have to bring in a load of SOC staff and do that as well. We can co-sell and we can co-deliver that together.
Kind of keeps their autonomy over their own services as well. Fantastic. So for organizations kind of looking to kind of build or mature their cyber resilience programs, what kind of practical advice would you share about integrating kind of MDR services effectively into their broader security stack?
Yeah, it's a great question. And one of the things we always talk to customers around is, and this is when we're talking about, even with our partners, is don't look at MDR as kind of bolt-on the side of it. Often what we do see is when we talk to customers and they're talking about their transformation model, and it'll be an IT transformation, a few years ago, it would be a transformation out to cloud, and they have all these different stacks, like this application needs to move, this infrastructure needs to move, and then there'll be a column next to it, which would say security. And the amount of times you used to take that security column, turn it the other way around and put it right through everything they're about to discuss. Because that's what we're saying, cybersecurity and really about MDR should be a thread that goes right through, resilience programs, IT transformation programs. It shouldn't be seen out on its own. And that's really where that multi-signal approach comes from as well. Don't just look at it, as in looking at different stacks. It should come right across. So if you're running a cyber resilience program where you're looking at tooling for endpoint, or you're looking at tooling for identity, or how do I secure my cloud environment, MDR should touch all of that, should bring all that information in, and it should really help correlate it as well. I think the other key thing is with your MDR is you should align it to business risk and outcomes. That's another key thing for me. So not just we just discussed around the technology stack, it should really align to, understand what are your crown jewel assets within your organization. Is it data? Is it IP? Is it brand? And your MDR should be set up to protect, that crown jewels that you actually have within there. It should also be looking at compliance and regulatory as well, because a lot of organizations these days there's a lot of new things coming in. We've seen it over the last few years with DORA coming in and things like that. There's always something to do with compliance. So how does MDR protect you as a business, but how does it actually help you achieve compliance? One thing I always say to people who know me is I love frameworks, okay? Some organizations hate them because the compliance frameworks have to comply to them. I love a good framework, whether it's NIST, we've mentioned before, whether it's DORA compliance, whether it's an ISO. And the reason I love a good framework, and this comes back to your questions around integrating MDR in, is because a framework allows you to put a stake in the ground and measure yourself right now. And then as you go to your organization to get budget to try and put an MDR service in and achieve different levels of MDR, it allows you to mark off on that framework about how you're maturing as an organization. Because when you need to go back around for your second level of funding and you're sitting there with the CFO and they're like, well, hold on a second, I just give you X amount of money. What's happened? And sometimes we can be seen as, well, we're protected. Well, how are you protected? Well, we haven't had a breach. You go into those conversations. This actually allows you to say we invested. This is where we've moved across our maturity model and across our framework, and this is where we become more compliant. This is where we need the next chunk of cash to allow us to continue on that maturity journey as well. So great. And probably the final piece around that is get executive sponsorship. Because you get executive sponsorship in there that allow you to kind of tie all that cybersecurity, that MDR piece, into operational resilience as well, as you were talking there around cyber resilience.
Yeah. Fantastic. It's all great advice. Thank you. So kind of final question would be looking ahead into the next few years, what innovations or developments at eSentire are you kind of most excited about? And how do you think these will kind of help shape the future of threat detection and response?
Yeah, great question. I'm really excited about, I'm privileged I get to see things like our roadmap, which is obviously something that's confidential, but I'm privileged because I get to see that roadmap and see what's coming down the route for us. One thing that I've really enjoyed over my 3 years at eSentire is watching our Atlas platform grow. And, a lot of that grows by what we see, what we see from the threat landscape, the threat intelligence we see. Big input into our platform is what our customers, we have a specific customer advisory board. So it's not just a case of us saying, hey, we think you should have this. We get feedback from our customer advisory board as well. So one thing I'm really excited to see is how that platform has grown in 3 years. I'm even more excited to see where it's going to go in the next 3 years. We've seen AI really pull into our platform. We've seen the efficiencies it's driven. We've seen the additional, things we can now capture in there as well, and the recommendations we can make. And again, I'm really excited to see how that platform is going to continue to grow with the advent of AI as we build that in as well. We've already got agentic AI in there. We're starting to build even more of these agents that will actually help us surface more threats, get more intelligent information out there, and get into that investigation stack really a lot quicker, with those outcomes coming quicker as well. I think other things that we're looking at early is we're seeing more of a shift as well now, is in the MDR market space. Where there's kind of an expectation now that MDR will do certain things. We've moved away from the education and the knowledge piece, and we're now in the AI piece. And what we're really starting to see now is a lot of our customers really want to understand things like what their exposure is. So what we've seen in MDR, how are we translating that into kind of, the business risk? So, hey, this is where we are right now. This is the business risk that it impacts. So we're seeing a lot more dashboarding coming in, which is something that's always been there, but it's starting to move more into not just dashboard to show you, hey, here's a load of information, kind of get on with it. We're now seeing the same, here's the information we're seeing, this how it pertains to your business risk as well. So that reporting up to board levels, up to executive stake levels. So they're things that we're starting to see more and more of. And again, as I say, is we'll start to see this more business impact metrics getting put into these platforms to kind of see how they operate. So yeah, so all in all is I'm excited to see the AI journey continue within there. I'm excited to see the user uptake. I mean, even in our platform in the last 6 months, we put more information into the customer's hands. There's no magic, thing behind it. It's the fact that what our SOC analysts now see or how they work on, our customers now see as well. So sharing that information with our customers, and I can't wait to see how our customers use that information. Some of us ask for guidance, some of us take away and use it themselves. So yeah, seeing all that within our platform is really, really exciting for me.
Fantastic. Loads of things to be excited about coming up then. So I'll watch this space. But yeah, thank you so much for your time today, Phil.
Thank you for your time.